A decades-old mystery in rural Geneseo is finally solved. Human remains discovered on a farm back in 1966 have now been identified thanks to advances in forensic technology.
Drew Coffey has more on the discovery and what it means for the farmer who owns the land where the body was found.
It was on this farm in rural Geneseo where a body was found back in 1966. Now, the farmer that owned the land at the time still lives here, and he sat down with us to tell us what he remembers. The body was discovered on Arlen Grader's farm near Interstate 80 in Geneseo. For decades, the mystery went unanswered, leaving the community with only questions. But now, thanks to advances in forensic technology, those remains have been identified as 19-year-old Ronald J. Cole of California, finally bringing long-awaited answers to a case many believed would never be solved. But it means more to Grader, who was in his early 20s when the body was found on his land.
We had kind of put in the back of our mind, this happened a long time ago. When the body was found, it was a shock. I guess everybody's looking for closure. So anytime you can get closure, it's a good thing.
The investigation remains active and ongoing as the death is being looked at as a homicide. In Geneseo, Drew Coffey, WQAD News 8.
Now, the DNA Doe project played an important role in cracking the case and identifying Ronald Joe Cole.
Haley Bickelhop explains how they used relatives' DNA to identify Cole, why this case was turned around quickly, and which other case is being investigated in our area.
Genetic genealogy, as it's commonly known, is a technique used to identify people of unknown parentage or adoptees. We've kind of taken that one step further and developed this technique of the years called investigative genetic genealogy.
Matthew Waterfield and the DNA Doe project were brought into the Geneseo case in 2024 by the Henry County Sheriff's Office. Their technique compares DNA from an unidentified person through a database called GEDmatch. It's a collection of a couple million DNA samples.
Think Ancestry or 23andMe, except a lot smaller. And members of the public who have taken a DNA test with a DNA testing company can actually upload their DNA profile to that GEDmatch database.
In Cole's case, the organization got a hit. Someone in the system was his second or third cousin.
Considering that Ronald Cole vanished over 60 years ago, the fact that we could solve this within 5 days was a great relief for us.
After finding that connection, the group then sorts through family trees, obituaries, newspapers, and yes, even Facebook. In this case, census records were key.
In Cole's case, they found DNA matches in Kentucky and Tennessee, and they built the timelines forward and saw that they overlapped in Indiana. That's where Cole's parents were married, and when they noticed, he'd fallen off the radar.
With this case, not only had he been reported missing, but investigators were still looking for him. Those clues made it very easy for us to realize that we did in fact have the right person.
While cracking this case from 6 decades ago, the organization's team found newspaper reports in which David Lefevre, Cole's brother, confessed to family that he had killed his brother. In Moline, Haley Bickelhop, WQAD News 8.
The DNA Doe project is actively researching a homicide case now in Clinton County, Iowa. Back in 1975, a fisherman found the remains of an African-American girl, and the organization hopes they'll be able to identify her soon.